how the new technologies focus attention. The internet can be a force for focusing global attention. How can you capture that attention and direct it and make it coherent? And not only the attention of an individual, but the attention of a whole people. How can that happen? And so we think from tourism we can learn a lot about the focusing of attention, and from other popular entertainments which focus attention, including video games, including computer games, as well as television, cinema, and other popular forms. But our theories also suggest that whenever you talk about attraction, you also have to talk about repulsion. That attention is a matter not only of looking in one place, but it's also of avoiding another place. It's also a turning away from something. So to understand this idea of paying attention and the way that technology can enhance and augment the paying of attention, one has to notice what's being forgotten, what's being avoided, what is repulsive and disgusting, as well as what's attractive and desirable. So in a way, we could say that what Solanism as a new kind of tourism, or the teoria, what it adds to contemporary tourism is that we have not only tourist attractions, but we have tourist repulsions. And one shouldn't underestimate, one immediately might think that's just a joke or something, but in fact, we shouldn't underestimate the attractiveness of repulsion. We already have mayhem and mystery tours. People love to visit the sites of tragedies, of murders, disasters of every sort. They just don't want to be there at the time they're happening. Well, what's interesting from the point of view of electronic technologies is that it's quite possible to monitor disasters while they're in process, from the security of an electronic distance. But the question is how to get people to pay attention, because it is to some extent like watching wallpaper or watching paint dry. I mean, if anybody has spent much time with video cams, and you can have a video cam that's in a restaurant, I don't know, in an Italian neighborhood or something, you can watch the thing, for a year and a half, and it might be finally that, in a year and 6 months, the year and 8 months or something, that some mafioso is murdered or something there, and you watched it if you happen to pay attention that long. Well, no one's going to do that. I mean, we had this idea of the Challenger. We were thinking about the Challenger disaster, and we said, well, if anybody were actually monitoring the Challenger and had full, if anyone were monitoring the space program in the United States leading up to the Challenger disaster, and if they had access to the engineering data and so forth that we have access to now, we would say that, yeah, you could predict that someday one of those shuttle flights was going to blow up. And then the question would just be which one. And so part of our early thinking was, well, it would be very interesting to monitor a disaster. The attraction would be, when will the disaster happen? So when is the Challenger, when is the shuttle going to blow up? Will it be the Challenger? Will it be Atlantis? Which flight? And what we're thinking about is not to some kind of perverse curiosity, but rather that this type of observation transforms what is observed. I mean, this is the basic insight of relativity theory, that you can't observe nature without altering nature. The observation actually takes a part. The observation actually participates in what is observed. It doesn't just leave it untouched. And so we're thinking, well, if the powers that be, if the influential different parts of the community, those people that had the power to determine policy, if they knew that they were being monitored by public schools, and we're thinking of the emergency as organizing the internet not only into a living monument, or that the function of a living monument, an inhabitable monument, is that it would be kind of a fifth estate. And so if you've got the three branches of government being the first three estates, you've got journalism, if you like, popular entertainment, culture as being the fourth estate, then the fifth estate would be the internet through the practice of the emergency, and would provide a new dimension on events, different from any of the other four, and that could participate in this way. The sheer act of attention would begin to modify the situation. Well, again, thinking in terms of attraction, we might say, in the case of Florida, for example, there's all kinds of debates about whether or not pollution, say from big sugar, for example, is actually endangering the aquifer. Or now the most current issue would be offshore drilling for oil or something in gas. Does this endanger the aquifer and the fresh water supply that makes Florida inhabitable? Well, if we could use the digital powers of knowledge and distribution to monitor that situation, the attraction would be to take a bet. When and where would the aquifer be penetrated by pollutants? And you could imagine the effect on the people that actually are doing the polluting would be, well, did you know that, that the entire, Dade County school kids have a bet as to when we're going to destroy life as we know it in Florida? Maybe this isn't good for our business. Maybe we should change behavior. So it's not that the emergency students have a better idea. Well, how should we sweeten our drinks? Do we need that much sugar? It's not that they've got a better policy idea. It's that they're paying attention. So this is the idea of attraction. Now, the way we've then extended this idea of attraction in terms of how to actually structure the digital version of MyOtra as a site is now using the divination system. So what turns a body of information into a Cora is that a person approaches it mystorically. What that means is that the student comes with a burning question about his or her own personal life, and then tours the database looking for that moment of eureka, looking for that moment of recognition when the conditions in the zone match up with and are recognized to be an image of what's going on with one's own life, as in the case of the prototype, the attunement done by Ravel in the Miami River, when she recognized that the impoundment of the Haitian traders by the Coast Guard was an image, a powerful, true reflection of her own feeling, of her relationship in her love relationship with Ron. So we wanted to simulate that without the students having to actually go to the Miami River or to any of the other sites that might become zones in this system. And so we thought, well, they can tour the database, and this is what we're designing in terms of the attraction. What would motivate the movement through the online site would be to say that you would introduce information related to your own personal condition, your own problem, and then there would be a match through a chance process that we would, this is what we would have to look into with programming and so forth, keyword matches, database searches in terms of images that repeat between the student's story and the database, the database material, the history, the scientific information, the interviews with the denizens, the people that live in the zone. And so that would be the motivation. It's precisely putting personal involvement that overcomes compassion fatigue. And this is why we say problems be us. This is the motto, this distinctive motto of the consultancy, of the emergency. So you as a consultant are not explaining the river is explaining you. And that's a very powerful motivation to pay attention to what's going on in the river. And the idea being that is the way you change your problem is that you change the outer problem. You change yourself by changing the situation of the river. And that motivates people to get involved with the politics and the ethics of the policy issues that are discernible in the problem zone. Now, I mean, that's the principle. I should go on to say then what we discovered about this divination system. How should this divination system work? Well, so we looked into how African divination systems work, looked into European divination systems, the tarot